We need to understand that because until we clearly grasp that the terrestrial person is not everything and that we are just an extension of something more, something that we ignore, we cannot understand genuine spirituality. This is the problem in this day and age. People think that spirituality is about me, and spirituality and religion have become all about me and myself. Nowadays, people really just want to adorn themselves with whatever spiritual elements comfort their ego. They want to dress themselves in robes and in different garments psychologically to give of a certain appearance or to feel certain things. They want to feel comforted. They want to feel secure because, as they say, they are spiritual. Samael on Veor. Do you ever wonder why we can be so fickle? Why a change of heart is so common? Why we suffer anxiety, nerves, anger, depression, and so much more? In truth, there is a secret war that rages deep within us. An inner war with our true selves on one side and a formidable adversary on the other side. And who exactly are our opponents in this war? They have many names: psychic aggregates, shadow selves, or, far more commonly known, egos. Yes, we each contain a plurality of egos. When we think of egos, typically we think of a singular part of our psyche. This is a part of our ancient mistake. The word ego is in truth plural, and while they often attack our psyche in groups, they are indeed legion. While we should not hate our ego, we should be careful of idolizing them. We unknowingly created these egos because we do not understand our human vehicle, our body, which itself is multidimensional. When we mistake ego desires for our true consciousness, we allow our egos to feed. Consciousness is a kind of light. We already know light can be altered when traveling through a medium. Egos are a kind of a medium. They alter our perception of true light, of true consciousness. Pride, envy, greed, gluttony, anger, laziness, lust. All these primary egos feed on us. When we intellectualize our lust, our ego in our third eye chakra siphons energy from our sacral chakra. Or another way to put it is our ego from our intellectual mind siphons energy off our physical sexual mind. But we will touch on the three minds and chakras much more a little later. Like a moon that borrows its light from a star, the egos are real, but also a false consciousness. Egos have false light. And like mistaking the moon's reflection on a lake for real light, there are many derivatives of the primary egos that also feed on us daily. More on this in a future video as well. There is a famous esoteric saying, "As above, so below." This secret war within us all manifests at many layers of reality. In the space of our interior, we manifest disease and discomfort both psychologically and physically. In the space of our language and culture, we argue and say horrible things to one another both in person and quietly in gossip. In the space of our physical environment, We manifest external disease by polluting and physical wars with our own brothers and sisters. We are at war within, and it creates wars without at every level of reality. Our situation is quite dire. So, what are we to do? The real spiritual person is in connection, in dialogue with their inner being. This connection is not vague, invented, or fantasized. It is experienced. True spirituality is the direct connection between the terrestrial person and the spiritual man, Atman, our inner Buddha. Real spirituality begins when that connection is established. So spiritual growth can be defined in that way. First, by accessing and acquiring that connection, so that we no longer believe in God or theorize about our inner self, but we know it. We can experience it, we can taste it, we can touch it, we can talk to it, we can get information from it. We know what it is from experience. That is the beginning of real spiritual growth. We must forge our first and most versatile weapon in this war. Then we can begin to gain true spiritual experience every new day and night. Forged by the fires of meditation, this weapon is our true consciousness. Without going into too much detail here, our consciousness has 4 aspects. The first aspect of consciousness is awareness, a broad spatial perception that expands within us and around us, like sunlight that reaches in every direction. All living things have some degree of awareness. The second aspect of consciousness is attention, our directed and focused perception. If awareness is like the sunlight, shining in all directions, attention is the spotlight. This is the aspect most meditation beginners are familiar with, having the perception that we are inside the head, the brain. It is because attention is being focused on the brain. The third aspect of consciousness is mindfulness. You are likely familiar with this word. Mindfulness is to be aware of what you are doing from moment to moment. When we are mindful of what we are doing, we are fully conscious in our actions. When we realize that we suddenly began eating junk food or began mindlessly browsing social media, we have lost mindfulness. The fourth aspect of consciousness is visualization. This is the ability to perceive non-physical imagery. This concept is tricky to properly understand. Notice the phrase non-physical imagery. We often get confused here. When we are told to visualize a flower or an apple, we may not see anything with our eyes closed. Not at first, not for a long time. But how do we all imagine ways to travel to a grocery store or any destination? How is it that we can see a garden hose wrapped up in the yard and briefly imagine it as a snake? This is visualization of non-physical imagery. We use it unconsciously, and therefore it is like a very dull blade. In the beginning, we work to improve awareness and attention. Once we've strengthened these 2 aspects of our consciousness, we work to increase our mindfulness. These 3 aspects, awareness, attention, and mindfulness, are like 3 legs of a chair, giving us more stability in our daily life. When these first 3 aspects are strong, then we begin to work with improving our visualization or imagination. I will share more details about these topics in future videos as well. An important note: when we meditate, yes, we relax, but we also maintain our maximum potential awareness and attention. A balance of relaxation and awareness is our foundation, our first foundation, and we should always seek to relax at every step of our meditation practice. Using a daily guided meditation app or video for 10 minutes or more a day is a good start. With weeks or months, we can increase that time. During meditation, depending on our level, we will become distracted by thoughts. When we notice this, we do not give into an ego of prideful judgment or angry disappointment or any other ego. We simply notice it, and we return to awareness, keeping our intellectual mind in blank. This process is how we start to gain experience, day by day, week by week. While sitting and meditating is essential, we must learn to extend this state of consciousness into our daily lives. We must learn mindfulness. The battlefield of life is constantly in motion, especially when at work or in difficult situations. So first we need a map of the battlefield to help us gain ground in battling the egos. That map is the true nature of our deeply complex vehicle, our body. When we feel heartbroken, deeply saddened, why is that felt in our heart center and not our intellectual center? Why do we feel it with the heart and not the brain? In truth, we have 3 minds: intellectual, emotional, and physical. The 3 minds are related to the chakra network, and these chakras and these minds are not generators of consciousness as many of us might believe. They are energy transformers of the field of consciousness. Or better said, consciousness is not in the brain is in consciousness. By learning about the 3 minds, we begin to understand where egos manifest within us. This is where practicing inner body awareness helps us notice the 3 minds, both in meditation and in daily life. There is a link in the description to a good beginner inner body awareness guided meditation. Add that to your practice and you will see results with time and effort. With enough meditation practice, we can perceive the subtle movement of egos within us. In a future video, we will discuss how to eliminate and dissolve these egos once we are able to sense them with our strengthened consciousness. I will endeavor to speak only from experience. If speaking from theory, from books or other resources, I will make that clear. Central to this channel will be gnosis, true knowledge by experience. Gnosis is where true knowledge and true spirituality is forged by experience. But to get there, we must be as warriors. If you would like to read more foundational teachings from Samael Aun Weor, please see the link in the description. Future videos will cover many esoteric topics such as astral projection, Kabbalah, and more. Please do leave comments below with any questions or suggestions for future videos. If you would like to support the channel, there is a link to the Patreon below where you can find an invite to the Discord group for the Patreon. And your support is very much appreciated. Until next time.